guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called The Male Lead's Nephew Like Me So Much. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! A small crush can be endearing, but when it turns into an obsession, things tend to end poorly. This is the case of Charlize Lienta, the only beautiful daughter of Duke Lienta. She has a crush on Archduke Calyx Eludion, the half-brother of the current emperor. As she develops feelings for him, she becomes obsessed with him and starts stalking him. However, since he already has a partner, she tries to kill her to take him from her. That is how Charlize ends up meeting her demise because of a sudden turn of events, or at least, that is how it's established for her as the villainess of this story. Indeed, this is a fictional world. A year ago, she was reincarnated as the villain of this story. Fortunately, it was at a point in the story where the main characters hadn't met yet. Because of this, she was determined to make a change. She wanted to avoid a future where she would end up dead. In order to do that, she wrote a letter to the Archduke and disappeared into a distant territory. Unlike in the original novel, she decided to live far away peacefully. So far, Charlize is enjoying her life in the countryside. One day, she receives a note from her father ordering her to return to the capital. This is the start of her journey back to the capital after a year. On the road home, she decides to stop the carriage upon witnessing some adults bullying a little child. Since she refuses to leave the child alone back in the streets, she decides to take him home with her temporarily. Upon Charlie's arrival at the mansion, her father immediately assumes that the little boy is her child. She quickly denies it and changes the subject. Shortly after, he informs her that the capital is currently a mess since the royal heir is alive. The Archduke has figured out that the royal heir that everyone thought died 7 years ago is still alive. After this information spread, the whole capital went crazy under the rumors of the Archduke looking for his nephew, including the Emperor. Originally, the female lead in the story, Ilian, was the one who found the royal heir and took him to the Archduke. Since the royal heir became attached to her, she didn't have any other choice but to stay at the house of the male main character. This is how the two of them slowly started to fall in love with each other. Currently, Charlize doesn't understand why this news is relevant for her return until her father mentions the letter she previously sent to the Archduke. She then concludes that they are concerned about her encountering trouble while searching for his nephew. To be fair, the original Charlize Lienta in the novel could only be described as a mad woman. She was a loose cannon who reacted harshly in most situations. As a result, her current reputation is severely tarnished and there's nothing she can do about it. Afterward, she decides to stay silent and escape after the royal heir is found. It likely won't take long to locate him, as his most distinguishing features, black hair and blue eyes, are well known. Speaking of his features, the young boy Charlize brought in earlier matches the royal heir's description, particularly given that he is around 7 years old. Later that day, as the maids bathe the boy, Charlize discusses with her father what they plan to do with him. Is this a coincidence or not? By the way, the reason why the two main characters meet in the original story is that the female lead found the royal heir. If she is the one who brings him back, the flow of the story will be altered somehow. Shortly, he expresses his heartfelt gratitude for her taking care of him. She is the first person to show him kindness, which is why he's very grateful. His growing attachment to her complicates her plans for a peaceful life, which now seems impossible. During dinner, the little boy gets excited as he eats delicious food for the first time. He is truly grateful to the Lienta family for taking good care of him. This sweet boy is the legitimate son of the emperor and his wife, which makes him the direct successor to the throne after the emperor passed away. Moreover, he supposedly died alongside his mother 7 years ago. Now that he has reappeared, this means that he is the only one with the sole right to claim the throne among any other member of the royal family. This effectively means that he has the power to kick the current emperor out of his position and claim it for himself. Surely, the current rulers are aware of that fact, so they won't stay put if they find out that the royal heir is alive. Charlize thinks of taking him to Calyx, since he is probably the only one powerful enough to protect him from the current ruler. However, if she does that, the opportunity for the main characters to meet will disappear. Shortly, Duke Lienta excuses himself because he's having a stomachache due to stress. Because of this, the child blames himself, as he assumes that the Duke must be feeling sick for having to be next to a dirty and smelly kid like him. Growing up, everyone else always seemed to feel bad because of him. Upon hearing this, Charlize immediately consoled him. Just looking at him makes her feel good. From now on, no one can say mean things to him anymore, as she mentions his uncle who will protect him. Although the course of the story has already changed because of their meeting, the safety of the kid is what comes first. She tells him that she will bring him to his uncle the next day. Additionally, she assures him that his uncle is a good guy, despite looking quite scary. This makes him sad, afraid that he won't see her again. He doesn't believe there's another better person than her. He's so soft and pure, my heart is melting. Since Charlize is known as Calyx's stalker, he will misunderstand if she appears with his nephew there. However, because of the kid's growing attachment to her, she decides to try to see him once in a while under one condition. This stresses him out since it has been a week since the search for the royal heir was announced, yet they still haven't found him. Afraid that the throne will be taken away from him, the current emperor may have already gotten rid of the child. For Calyx, the only thing that he cares about is for the nephew to be alive and safe. He is willing to give anything to whoever brings the child to him safely. The next day, Charlize arranges for a plane carriage to discreetly transport the royal heir to Calyx. She instructs him not to mention her name to the Archduke and to act as if they are strangers. This is her condition, because if the Archduke discovers she was the one who brought him there, he'll be mad, and they will never be able to see each other again. Shortly after, the royal heir makes a pinky promise to her, swearing to honor her request. Upon arriving at the royal palace, the royal heir hesitates to go inside. He wants to tell Charlize that he wishes to stay with her forever, but he fears she might find it annoying. In the end, he resolves not to bother her anymore, realizing that if he does, they may never see each other again. From now on, Charlize doesn't need to worry, as Calyx will take good care of the child. However, she is troubled by the fact that, unlike the original story, she has disrupted the first meeting between the male and female leads. Even though she's not a big fan of the novel, she feels sorry for Ilian for missing the chance to have a better life. She doesn't want to meddle in their affairs, but eventually decides to sponsor poor artists and the orphanage upon getting home. Upon hearing her plan, Duke Liente is moved. He promptly decides to speak with the banker and provides her with a temporary allowance to help her proceed with her plan. He is willing to give her everything she wants, indulging her too much. This is probably why the original Charlize is very arrogant and bossy. Several days later, she gets a lot of pocket money from her father in her bank account. Afterward, she proceeds to withdraw her money as scheduled. Shortly after, she witnesses Ilian getting bullied by a man who is destroying her paintings. Irian, the female lead of the novel, comes from a humble family background. She has put up with the despise from others since she was born. If everything is on track, she's destined for the male lead, and Sasha, the royal heir, is the turning point that will change her whole life. However, since Charlize ruined it, she decides to lend her a helping hand, or else she will be remorseful. Shortly after, she approaches Ilian and compliments her paintings. On the other hand, Calyx offers to read a book to help Sasha fall asleep, but he refuses. Instead, he decides to stay with him until he drifts off. He is willing to do anything for his nephew without getting tired. As the royal heir drifts to sleep, he softly calls out Sister Charl repeatedly. Uh-oh, they're going to discover Charlize's secret in no time. While in his office, Liban, Calyx's aide, catches him mentioning the name Charl. He then explains that Sasha kept mumbling that name while sleeping and even burst into tears. He assumes that there must be a reason that the royal heir said nothing about his benefactor, because he's a clever and smart child. With this, he orders Liban to investigate in silence and find out who rescued his nephew. Moreover, Calyx plans to postpone this ceremony to announce the existence of Prince Sasha next week. In the meantime, he wants to find the girl named Charl as soon as possible. A few days later, Charlize starts getting anxious about the thought of the ceremony, even though there's no chance she'll be invited. The announcement ceremony should be held during this time, but there's been no update until now. She thinks that Ilian will attract the Grand Duke's attention in the ceremony, and everything will be back on track. This time, the situation will take a turn for the better. Previously, Charlize tried to purchase one of Ilian's paintings, but she refused, not wanting her work to be bought out of pity. However, as the only daughter of the Liente family, Charlize is accustomed to getting what she wants and isn't someone who extends help merely out of pity. Presently, she stares in awe at the painting after buying it successfully. Now, the only thing that matters is the royal heir's announcement. During the meal, Duke Liente expresses concern that the little boy might not be the real royal heir. However, it seems unlikely since he has the exact same features as described. Charlize thinks that Calyx is probably just protecting Sasha from the current ruler by hiding him away. Shortly after, the butler informs them that she has been invited to the ball at the royal heir's edifice. Oh wow, that's so unexpected! Duke Leente is surprised by the sudden invitation. In the original story, Charlize was not supposed to be invited. Since this is a special occasion when the prince is first introduced to people, many aristocrats are invited to the ball. The difference in plot between the original version and the extended one makes her quite uneasy. But that's none of her business. In the end, she refuses to attend the ball. Instead, Charlize plans to visit their family's domain since it would be a better choice than just lazing around in the imperial city. Meanwhile, her father insists on helping her with Calyx if she likes him that much, clearly misunderstanding the situation. In fact, she no longer likes the Archduke and can hardly remember his face. Shortly after, she tells her father once again that she will not attend the ball. A few days later, she ends up going to the ball because her father insists, and she can't refuse him. Shortly after, this ceremony begins as Calyx formally announces the introduction of Sasha Rosel Alopene, the royal heir. Now that Charlize has the final confirmation, she can finally put her mind at ease. Although it has not been so long since she noticed that Sasha was ignoring her. It seems like he is told to keep his distance from her, which makes her quite upset. For a moment, she feels Calyx's gaze on her during the event. As he approaches, she stops panicking when he thanks her for attending and asks to speak with her privately. Because of this, a flood of thoughts overwhelms her. As she anxiously meets his gaze, visions of the future suddenly flash through her mind. A vision of Charlize's father sacrificing himself to save her, dying in her arms, pops into her mind. This scene has neither occurred in the novel nor in her memories, which feels stranger to her. Could it be an omen for the future? I'm so curious! If looking into Calyx's eyes allowed her to glimpse the future, then she wants to see it again. Shortly after, they head to the balcony where they can speak privately. Without delay, he asks if she is the one who brought Sasha to him before. Admittedly, Charlize hasn't been searching for the royal heir intentionally. She was simply passing by and saw him by chance even before noticing the flyers. Thanks to her, Sasha was rescued. Now he asks her what she desires, promising to grant it. Rather than stating her true desire, Charlize shifts the conversation by presenting Calyx with a gift she bought for Sasha. Her only request is for him to deliver the necklace adorned with luminous gems to his nephew. Originally, it was supposed to be Ilian's present to Sasha. The necklace that can shine in the dark was the only thing he could depend on, especially after being bullied by some kids out of jealousy. However, since the events have changed, Ilian couldn't give it to him. This time, Charlize has no choice but to take her place and give the present to him instead. In addition, she assures Calyx that it has nothing to do with black magic and that it's completely safe. Eventually, he accepts her gift graciously and agrees to fulfill her request. Unfortunately, it may be difficult for her to meet Sasha today, so he decides to send her an official invitation letter later on to see him. This is a great opportunity for her, as she is determined to foresee the future once again. Meanwhile, Sasha recalls Liban's advice from several days ago, to pretend not to know Charlize because she's a dangerous woman. During the ceremony, one of the guests warns him to be cautious of her and speaks ill of her. The guest goes on to mention that she likes his uncle, but is interrupted when Calyx arrives just in time to intervene. Shortly after, he proceeds to give the present to him from his sister, Charles. Furthermore, he instructs Liban to inform Charlize that she can now meet the royal heir, much to Sasha's delight and excitement. Upon spotting her, he rushes over and embraces her. After she congratulates him for finally finding his real family, he urges her not to address him as Your Highness, and he shares his desire to remain by her side. Aw, poor thing, he's totally smitten with Charlize. 1 week later, Charlize heads to Calyx's edifice after the invitation letter to see Sasha was sent. She is not expecting it to arrive early, but she just can't resist the little boy whenever she sees him. Moreover, if it hadn't been for the ability to foresee the future, she would be in her family's domain right now. She is determined to find out what's happening. When they reunite, Sasha eagerly takes Charlize to the library and his room. He appears to relish his life in the mansion, where everyone treats him kindly. As he proudly shows her his wooden horse toy, she can't help but cry, moved by his innocence and charm. No, their relationship is so wholesome. He rushes to hug her immediately. After exchanging affection, he surprises her by asking if she likes his uncle. Now that the rumor has reached the young boy, she takes this chance to let everyone know that she doesn't like him at all. Afterward, they walk to the garden together and spot Calyx there. As Charlize gazes into his eyes, she foresees a troubling future for the royal heir. Anyway, Sasha talks proudly about Charlize to his uncle, saying she's the greatest person in the world. it seems like he adores her a lot and even brings along her gift for him all the time. In gratitude for all she has done for his nephew, Calyx grants her 2 wishes. He also invites her to visit his estate once more. She intends to return, planning to use one of the wishes granted by the Archduke to arrange a meeting between Sasha and Elian. Several days later, Elian expresses gratitude to Charlize, now that many people are interested in her drawings. After complimenting her talent, she initiates the topic of getting married. Unlike her parents, who love each other, Elian is unsure if she could be happy like them. She simply wants to spend the rest of her life painting. Indeed, the mere mention of painting makes her smile so happily. Moreover, she refuses to take part in the prayer festival and decides to attend the exhibition instead. Now, Charlize feels disheartened as her plan is ruined, not wanting to disrupt the original plot. On the day of the holy day, Charlize ends up coming alone. While looking for Sasha, she bumps into Rosetta Aklis, one of the characters who hates her in the novel. Rosetta is still the same, as she curiously asks if she's become a little more gentle after resting in the territory for a year. To be fair, the original Charlize treated her badly many times, so her actions are understandable. Although the original story is a bit messy, there are still things she doesn't know. Thus, she needs to clear up the rumor that she likes Calyx. When she asks her for a favor, Rosetta suddenly excuses herself. Afterward, Charlize continues looking for Sasha. As she heads to the forest, she hears voices on the other side near the lake. Shortly after, she witnesses some young boys bullying the royal heir and talking badly about her. She intervenes immediately to stop them. After confronting them, the boys, despite being the bullies, begin to cry. In a fit of anger, Lord Bayer, one of the boys, pushes Sasha into the lake. This place is known as the Nest of the Beast God because within its temple lies a beast of light sleeping in the lake bed. It's considered a sacred lake, and falling into it does not lead to drowning. Despite Sasha being an imperial figure who can still breathe, Charlize jumps in to save him, hoping to prevent him from enduring painful memories of suffering alone in the dark. Fortunately, Calyx saved them just in time. He looks at her with evident concern.
Calyx is waiting for Sasha to wake up at the Duke of Eludion's mansion that evening when he suddenly remembers Charles worrying about
her Prince Charming. Calyx finds it strange and amusing that Sasha worries for and pursues Charlize, even though he has only known her for a maximum of 2 days. Then, Calyx remembers that he experienced that same warmth from his brother, and that it is naturally difficult to forget the warmth that arrives at the most crucial moment. This helps him fully understand Sasha's behavior toward Charlize. While Calyx is waiting for Sasha to wake up, Liban then reports to Calyx that Lord Bayer wants to apologize to Sasha. Hearing this, Calyx then instructs Liban to consider Lord Bayer temporarily since they immediately apologize. Calyx also instructs Liban to handle the other clans without mercy. Meanwhile, Charlize is in the other room trying to drink the tonic the Duke has specially made for her. While trying the drink, Calyx suddenly appears, asking about her well-being and suggesting that she rest more. Charlize replies to Calyx that she is feeling better and thanks Calyx for saving her. Hearing this, Calyx reminds Charlize that he is supposed to thank her for saving Charles. Calyx then informs Charlize that the clan who pushed Charles are the ones the Empress favors the most. Calyx also tells her that Charles might threaten the Empress since he has claim to the throne, which makes him a thorn in her side. Thus, Charlize helping Charles means she is now involved in the situation. Calyx then suggests to Charlize that it might be a great idea to let everyone know that she is the benefactor of the Grand Duke's family, and Charlize agrees with Calyx's suggestion. Upon arriving home, Charlize's father is waiting for her at the entrance of their mansion to welcome her and ask Charlize how she is. Seeing Charlize's father's worried face, Charlize tells her father that she's fine and not injured. After hearing this, Charlize's father hugs her and reminds her that he cannot stop worrying about her since she is his baby, which makes the maids adore them. Oh, look how cute Charlize's father is! After Charlize's interaction with her father, she suddenly opens the wrong room, thinking it's her room, only to find a light telling her to come inside and close the door. The light then introduces itself as the Beast of Light and asks Charlize to help it since Charles, his master, is afraid of it, thus asking Charlize what exact body it must transform for Charles to like it. Hearing this, Charlize agrees to help it while also asking the Beast of Light for one favor since it is known that there are many treasures in the nest of the Beast of Light. The next day, Charlize receives an invitation from the Empress stating that she's invited to a tea party, which Charlize is not happy hearing about. Ugh, another nasty Empress? At the Empress's palace, Charlize is in the room together with the Empress, who seriously thanks Charlize for saving Sasha. Hearing this, Charlize feels that the Empress is not really sincere with her thanks, but hides it by also thanking the Empress. When Charlize notices that the Empress is drinking her tea, Charlize also looks at her own tea and thinks twice about drinking it, since Empress Katerina Lenik is known to be a druggist who is good at making extreme poison. When Charlize is about to drink her tea, Katerina asks her if she wants to be engaged with Calyx since she's the benefactor of the Grand Duke family. Hearing the Empress's suggestion, Charlize respectfully declines Katerina and tells her that she doesn't intend to marry yet. Next, Katerina then instructs Marquise to investigate Charlize, since she is condescending and even knows how to refuse an offer to seduce Calyx. Katerina also tells Marquise her desire to get rid of Sasha so she can totally claim the throne. Upon arriving home, Charlize is then informed by the maids that Elian is waiting in the office. Hearing this, Charlize then walks to the office. As she enters the room, Elian happily congratulates her since there are rumors that Charlize is successful in making Calyx fall in love with her. Charlize feels awkward with the whole marriage rumor talk, thus she suddenly changes the subject by asking Elian what their meeting is about. Elian then gives Charlize invitations to the exhibit and tells Charlize there will be a lot of great work since some works are from Marquise Vanachel. Hearing Marquise Vanachel's name, Charlize agrees to go to the exhibit since the Empress might also go there since Marquise is Katerina's subordinate in the original stories. A week later, Charlize's mansion is in chaos, and she is making a big deal of Sasha and Calyx visiting her mansion, and also since a maid lost Sasha's letter since it did not have the official seal of the Grand Duke's house. Charlize is then informed that Calyx and Sasha's carriage has arrived at the mansion's entrance. Hearing this, Charlize approaches them and warmly welcomes Sasha and Calyx. Sasha then looks at Charlize and tells her he misses her so much. Oh, this cute and innocent boy! Charlize then tells Sasha that she is not annoyed with him and that there is a little problem with Sasha's letter. Sasha innocently tells Charlize that he copied what Liban wrote and carefully placed and sealed it in an envelope. Hearing this, Charlize suddenly realizes that the letter she received might be open since she received it without a seal. Charlize then invites Calyx and Sasha inside for tea. While having tea in the garden, Sasha cutely points out the birds while sitting on Charlize's lap. Charlize then asks Sasha if he likes animals and what animals he likes. Sasha innocently answers that he likes dragons. After hearing Sasha's answer, Charlize is shocked since there's no way the Beast of Light can transform into a dragon and be Sasha's pet. Looking at Charlize's weird reaction, Sasha then explains that he likes dragons since they always appear in the fairy tale stories that Calyx reads to him every night. Thus, he enjoys them. This little boy has weird taste. Calyx then joins their conversation by telling Charlize that she needs to see Sasha more often, since Sasha is happier and bubblier with Charlize's presence. Charlize agrees, but informs Calyx that she can't meet Sasha for 3 days since she will participate in an exhibit party. Remembering that Elian will also be at the exhibit party, she then invites Calyx since it will be a perfect time for Elian and Calyx to meet officially. When Calyx and Sasha are about to go home, Calyx informs Charlize that the accident at the river is taken care of, and Duke Bayer wants to apologize directly to Sasha. After the Calyx carriage left, Charlize asks her butler to classify the letters. The butler then tells Charlize that the name is Ron, but he was on vacation a week ago. Charlize then instructs the butler that she wants a copy of Ron's resume. While reading Ron's resume, Charlize notices that he has so much debt that he has not yet been paid, and that Ron filed for vacation on the day Charlize had a meeting with Katerina. Knowing this, Charlize did not find it a coincidence and now has bad feelings about it. On the day of the exhibit, while Charlize is looking around, she remembers in the original scenes the illegal deeds Katerina did to gain money since they needed it. Charlize's thoughts are interrupted when Elian greets her. Elian then happily tours her on the art pieces Marquise created while praising how meticulously the artworks are made. After Elian shows Charlize her artwork, Charlize then thinks about standing longer while looking at Elian's work so that everyone might also notice it. Charlize's weird thoughts are interrupted when someone calls her name since glasses of wine are about to spill all over her. After hearing the warning, Charlize automatically catches the wine glasses and returns them to the servant. Charlize notices that the servant looks scared because of the commotion he made, and she also notices his habit is the same as Sasha, who was afraid to make eye contact. Charlize then instructs the servant to follow her into a room, and the spectators think that she will punish the servant. Inside the room, Charlize hands the servant an ointment while curiously thinking why the kid did not join the other beggars whom Calyx sent to the orphanage since they're Sasha's old friends. Next, Charlize returns to the ballroom and she suddenly sees the future in Calyx's eyes. A bomb will explode. It may also not mean a real bomb. Charlize's thoughts are interrupted when she notices Ron trying to steal an artwork. Charlize then collars Ron and stops Ron from stealing. Charlize then asks Ron why he deliberately misses Sasha's letter, which Ron tries to deny the accusation. Charlize's interrogation is stopped when Calyx arrives and instructs the guard to lock up Ron in Rhaenthe's mansion. After the commotion, Charlize then tells Calyx that she didn't expect Calyx to attend the exhibit. Calyx explains to Charlize that he participated in the exhibit to expose the truth that most works are fake and that the auction is about Katarina's Black Fund. Calyx then suddenly tells Charlize that the Empress will kidnap her. Charlize must buy time for Calyx to definitely find and save her. Hearing this, Charlize just stared at Calyx blankly. No, poor Calyx. Calyx then invites Charlize to the garden. At the garden, Elian hurriedly approaches Charlize and asks how she is, to which Charlize replies that she's okay. While Charlize is talking, Elian notices Calyx, making her approach him and greet him. Seeing them together, Charlize realizes that this is the scene that she's expecting where the main characters of the original story meet. I think that the probability that Calyx and Elian will be acquaintances is relatively high, and them being romantically involved is low. While looking at Calyx and Elian talking, Charlize overhears Elian telling Calyx that Charlize spoke to her about him. She then cutely glances at Charlize and gives her a thumbs up. Looks like Elian is acting as her wing woman after all. Seeing the situation, Charlize looks at Elian dumbfoundedly because it is not the scene she pictured for Elian and Calyx. Next, at Charlize's mansion, Ron is kneeling in the punishment room. Upon seeing Charlize, he asks for her forgiveness and to be free. Charlize asks Ron for an explanation of why he ruined the exhibit. Ron then tells Charlize that he did it because he wants to gain a position in the casino and sit forever like Duke Linnick. Upon hearing Duke Linnick's name, Charlize suddenly realizes that because of the high game probability, many people are attracted to the casino since it is also difficult for the nobles to participate. Charlize also realizes that Duke Linnick acts as a casino promoter to the owners, and that Charlize also remembers that in the original story, Katarina also makes an enormous contribution to the casino. Charlize then plans that she will keep all this information to herself to be out of the Empress's wrong side. While seeing Ron's scared face, Charlize releases Ron and makes him promise not to share her name with his boss, who instigated everything in the exhibit. Hearing this, Ron quickly agrees to Charlize and promises to her. During the night, while Charlize is sleeping, she suddenly dreams about her childhood and how everything is blamed on her. Charlize then wakes up from the bad dream and notices that she feels physically drained. Thus, she calls her maid to give her her medicine. The maid is happy and cannot believe that Charlize is asking her for medicine since in the past, it was hard for them to make Charlize take her medicine. After drinking the medicine, Charlize is then praised by the maid for being a grown-up since Charlize does not take any medicine even when she's sick in the past, thus making her father worry about her well-being. Meanwhile, at the Empress's palace, Katarina orders Marquise to handle the servant who she paid to steal the artwork, and realizes that she needs to use a different approach to make Charlize follow her commands. The Empress is already getting on my nerves. While Charlize is getting ready, she then realizes the past incidents happened because they want her to surrender, and that Katarina plans to ruin her and make her voluntarily follow all her orders. Charlize also remembers that the original Charlize is also one of Katarina's subordinates, thus making her firmly decide that the Empress will not control her. Next, while looking out her window, Charlize notices that the security and servants are more strict, and that even Katarina can't touch the southern granary since it will also affect the Emperor's virtue. Since Duke Rhaentha is appointed as the ruler of the South through the Merchant Guild, and is also able to get hold of the Empire's finances, Charlize then thinks that Katarina will find a way to lower the reputation of the Merchant Guild, thus they must be careful about it. The commander of the Capitol Guard Squad is interviewing Charlize on what happened during the exhibit's explosion. While the interview is happening, Charlize notices that the guard is somewhat making a report to give to the Empress, thus Charlize does not cooperate with the interview and just slightly answers the questions. After the interview, a guard hands Charlize the candies that the Duke gives. While Charlize enjoys the candies, she notices Aelix trying to talk to her uncle, but her uncle insults Aelix. Charlize then approaches them and tells Aelix's uncle that he's noisy and wants to speak to Aelix. When Aelix's uncle sees that it is Charlize, he hurriedly excuses himself. Charlize then remembers that Aelix is now under the guardianship of her uncle since her parents died, and that Aelix's uncle is an ambitious bastard who stole Aelix's family seal and appointed himself Aelix's guardian. After Aelix's uncle leaves, Charlize asks Aelix if she wants her to protest. Charlize helps her by being her witness. Aelix is shocked that Charlize wants to help her. Charlize also adds that her appointment with Alex is canceled because of her uncle's objection. Next, while Charlize is having her tea, her butler asks her why the Capitol guards paid a visit. Charlize calmly tells him that they are just asking about the exhibit's explosion. The butler then informs Charlize that somebody died. Meanwhile, in the castle, Liban is reporting to Calix about the progress of the investigation regarding the Empress. Liban then hands Calix the letter that has been passed through by many people and tells him that it is challenging to investigate the traces. Liban then curiously asks Calix if the fairy Empress is still alive. Calix then remembers that there is still one more thing that he needs to be confirmed to make sure that the fairy Empress is dead, and he recalled that about a month ago, he received a letter about a sender stating that Sasha is still alive, thus making him doubt that the fairy Empress is still alive. Calix also remembers that his brother is about to unravel who Sasha's biological mother is, but his brother also passed away from an unknown illness. The next day, Sasha is in the garden and is happily running toward Charlize. When Sasha is in front of Charlize, he then concernedly asks Charlize how she is after what happened at the exhibit. Oh, this cute and pure kid. Charlize then tells Sasha that she is fine and eating well too, and thanks Sasha for being concerned. Charlize then asks and invites Sasha to a tour around the garden. Calix then joins their conversation by asking if it is okay to follow Sasha and Charlize, which she awkwardly agrees to. While they are walking around the garden, Sasha notices that there are many beautiful flowers, and curiously asks Charlize the name of the purple flowers. Charlize tells Sasha it is Lysianthus, and Calix also tells them it is his favorite flower. Charlize then realizes that the Lysianthus flowers are planted by the old Charlize, who is a stalker of Calix. The situation is more awkward when Calix teases Charlize that it has been a long time since he toured Charlize's garden. That's right! Old Charlize was so crazy about Calix. Seeing that Calix and Charlize are talking, Sasha grabs Liban and informs them that he wants to greet Duke Renaud. Being alone, Calix then tells Charlize that she must be surprised by Ron's sudden death. While they are talking, Charlize is again able to see the future. After Calix and Sasha leave, Charlize begins to write about the incident when she can see the future. While writing it down, she realizes that she has never seen the future of any other character in the original stories, and she remembers Labette Ronatus, a candidate for the position of Calix's fiancé. Ooh, this is bound to get interesting! Meanwhile, Katerina arrives at her house. Upon arrival, Katerina asks the butler how her father is doing. The butler informs her that the doctor has not found the reason for his illness. While staring at her father, Katerina feels strange, like a puzzle piece stuck in the wrong place, even if it is her home. Katerina also remembers how her father considers everyone with the bloodline of the Duke Linnick family as Linnick, including her, even if nobles do not accept illegitimate children. Duke Linnick kills everyone who knows Katerina's existence to be able not to leave a stain on his reputation, even though the Duchess is killed and is not able to avoid the tragedy. Gosh, her father is so intense! These noble people really are too much sometimes. Katerina coldly and sarcastically tells the weak Duke Linnick that she will repay him for telling her about her childhood, and that maybe one day Katerina will put the poison that she made for him into Duke Linnick's mouth, while also pouring on the Duke's lips a medicine that Katerina informs that the royal palace prescribed it. The next day, Charlize is busy checking the boxes and thinking about when she and Labette will meet. While looking at the list, a child calls her excitedly and asks Charlize if she remembers her. While Angel is trying to talk to Charlize, someone angrily grabs her and shouts at her that she must not dare stand in front of nobles. Angry at how the guy is treating Angel, Charlize then stops the guy and scarily tells the guy that during the time Duke Renaud was a prime minister, he specified the child labor law, thus he disobeyed the law. The guy ran away because of how scary Charlize looked. After the incident, Charlize asks Angel why she is working since the orphanage gives them free meals, but then realizes that Angel is saving for her to be able to find her brother Sasha. Charlize then gives Angel a job. Hearing this, Angel happily accepts the job. Our MC really has a kind soul. Angel is starting to tell Charlize about Labette's schedule, which she also finds amusing for Angel to know. A carriage is running toward them, but is stopped when Charlize comes face to face with the horse's nostrils. An elegant lady concernedly got off the carriage and asked how Charlize was. My gosh, that woman is stunning! Even our MC is amazed by how bedazzling she is. Charlize knows that this is her opportunity, so she quickly shows the woman that she has a scratch on her arm. Labette then invites Charlize to her mansion to treat a small scratch. Charlize then smiles and thinks to herself that she might be able to see the future again since she knows Labette. The Empire is composed of 3 Duke families: the family of Charlize, the Reinta, the family of the Empress, the Linnick, and lastly, the family that got entangled with Charles, the Bayer family. And only the Reinta family has a daughter. Well, she should be recognized as a graceful lady, but with the evilness she had in the story, the Lady of the Golden Lily, Libet Ronatus, is the only one acknowledged by the elite, trying to humble her. On a quiet afternoon, the thoughts of Charlize are spoken out loud as she lies in her bed. She has surely moved according to the original story, but she saw nothing like a vision of the future. It was nothing near her expectations. It all boils down to the fact that only through the Grand Duke Calyx she can see the future. Should she make a move to be closer to him? Her thoughts are running deeper when a voice calls for her, the Beast God. The Beast God, who is in the form of a lizard, settles in her bed, downhearted. He was thinking of his master Charles. As dejecting as it may be, the lizard thinks that his master hates him. Well, hate is a strong word. He was probably just surprised by his appearance. Unlike the not-so-welcoming encounter of the two, the boy treated the Duchess much warmer, showing fondness for her. This gives an idea to the Beast God. She should worship him. The correlation? That we're not sure of. In the dining area, Charlize and her father are sharing a meal. A supposedly peaceful meal, but her father is evidently bothered. By what? Well, it's the sight of his daughter eating like she does not have a foot-long lizard dangling around her neck. It looks like she really is worshipping the Beast God. Secretly. Even though the sight is so bizarre, the two of them sure look adorable together. But there is another matter that bothers the man. The fake items coming from the Merchant Guild. With this great trouble, he asks for her emotional support, but she has greater things in mind with much greater goals needed to be achieved. It is now time to lend her hand and intelligence to their business. Is it genuine help coming from her as a daughter? No, she just needs a facade. After all, being a lady would only limit her in finding someone. A few days later, she heads to the maker of the fake items. Thankfully, she was able to remember the place according to the original story, just 3 miles from the capital. As she enters the place, the man immediately recognizes her. The man thinks lowly of her for not knowing that he has made fake items for their merchant guild. What an opportunity for him, but unbeknownst to him, it is the other way around. The man bites to the bait unknowingly, and they close off the deal. Now, what could be the Empress's reaction? On the other hand, at the mansion of the Grand Duke, Charles is playing Jenga with the Duke, losing 3 times in a row. Nevertheless, he is immensely grateful to his uncle. As they continue their uncle-nephew bond, the Duke notices one thing. The child has forgotten about the fairy empress that took care of him. Could it be that his memories were taken from him? Just like any father, the only wish of the Emperor was the safety of his son, and so, on his deathbed, he asked his brother Calyx to take care of Charles. But this promise is no easy task. It was even harder when his power-hungry half-brother Antonio took over the throne, just because Calyx's mother was from a lowly family and the true heir was still a child. Moreover, it felt like the end when the palace was consumed by fire, and no body of the baby nor his mother was found. But hope has yet to wither for Calyx. He waited to be the Grand Duke of Elorden. His position was all he needed to formally ask for the Emperor's help, the use of an imperial magic item in discerning the real heir. 7 years later, just like a miracle, Charles came back. All he is hoping for is for the child to live normally just like any child of his age. And so they never talked about what had happened, trying to keep the bad memories away. However, it seems like there are no memories at all. He must find the truth. The Duke snaps back to reality as the child calls for his attention. He does not want to play anymore, rather he wants to write a letter for Charlize. Oh, what a sweet child he is. Contented of his output, Charles lets his uncle check his letter, but only to be tearily upset as the man teases him over a cute misspelled word of strawberries. Is it bad if he finds joy in his nephew's distress? Well, it only signifies that the child is finally open to showing emotions. In the Raintum merchandise, Charlize is surely taking time in the crafting plan to deceive the Empress, making sure that all is going smoothly. To start her plan, she proposes her new item to her father. The craftsman is definitely eager to deceive her as he sends a real item for the first sample. The pin is shining in beauty, and her father loves it, but this is not her goal. She is just waiting for someone to contact her, and after 3 days, the plan is on the move. The person she had been waiting for invited her over for tea. Across her is the Empress, who is not being so subtle with her agenda, the Duke's business. Let the trickery begin. The ladies, in their nice, prim, and proper masks, continue their chit-chat, particularly about business. Both certainly have their own hidden agenda, trying to lure out each other through kindness and gullibility. Charlize makes sure to be vocal about asking for a hand. She needs manpower for a new product, although it has come to the Empress that samples from the maker of counterfeit items are already sent. But she disregards this fact. After all, how often does an enemy call for help? On her way out of the Empress's place, she requests an escort to her carriage as she does not have a knight with her. But what is suspicious is that she requests a specific servant, Noah, the Empress's inferior. Does she know who this man is? The Empress hopes it is nothing but a random coincidence. But of course, Charlize Rainta makes her every move count. She knows who the man is and the potential he has. Being a servant of a scheming Empress must be hard, so upon approaching the carriage, she offers him to serve the Rainta family. But of course, as a man with dignity, his loyalty lies with his current master. The next day, she is waiting for the arrival of Charles when her mind pulls her into thought. The scheming Empress needs someone close to the child for him to manipulate him, and she is eyeing her. This is a danger to the child, and she does not want that to happen. Upon the arrival of her cute visitor, they stay in the garden while she watches him write and widen his vocabulary. As much as she enjoys adoring such a sight, the Duke arrives to pick him up. So to see the child smile once more, she gives him a flower ring. It is time to bid farewell, but the Duchess seems to be in sorrow. Why? They just have to say goodbye in the meantime and we'll see each other again, right? But when? Days after the last visit of the child, Charlize is by the window, wallowing in melancholy. Everyone notices her behavior, and they are genuinely worrying for her. Could it be the disappearance of the lizard or what? She knows that dwelling in her emotions will get her nowhere, so she must be strong and careful, especially her meeting with the Grand Duke will be lessened. She must divert her focus to finding the man aiming at her father. In the Merchant Guild, she is busy with her duties when Evan walks to her, delivering a letter from the Empress. It is the list of the craftsmen recommended by Her Majesty. The list is full of hoax craftsmen who are all her inferior. What an unexpected move from the Empress! Immediately, she sends the letter bearer to order 30 samples of the pin. It may be a lot, but it is all included in her plan. On the other hand, Noah is kneeling before his master, reporting everything he knows about the recent order of Charlize. It is expected that soon enough, the Duchess of Rainta will experience a bitter downfall. After all, it is expected for the man to eradicate all existing proof. But this vision is soon gone as Charlize is sitting right across her, reporting the deceit that had happened, even asking for permission to use the craftsman as an example, spreading awareness to everyone. Now, how can she deny such a request? Everything is happening according to plan, just as the Duchess has been expecting it. The craftsman is caught red-handed and is now on his knees, defending his shameful act. He cannot believe he is caught right away with his astounding skills. With no escape, he surrenders himself, admitting his crime. Now, he has to face the consequences. On the other side, Noah rushes to report the mishaps to the Empress. Trying to solve it, she commands him to sneak into the Rainta's mansion, but it will be impossible, considering that there's no clue about the place's internal map. Looks like Noah is of no use anymore. The Empress sends a letter to the Duchess to meet her the next day, acknowledging her hard work. She offers to extend her hand on the matter, but what surprises her is the request of Charlize. A trial? That would be an obstruction to her plan. And the Duchess is adamant that she cannot be swayed by any words of the Empress. Therefore, she concluded their meeting by giving her so-called support to the Duchess. But before leaving the table, she mentions the Grand Duke of Alarden, who is meeting the Emperor. According to the story, he'll be at the Garden of Blue Roses after the said meeting. It would not be bad to meet him there to ask for a favor, right? As she savors the night breeze in the garden, the Grand Duke arrives. It is such an unexpected encounter for him, but to her, it was not. Of course, he does not have to know that. They go for a walk and have a little chat. She shares why she's in the Imperial City and the counterfeit incident. The Duke analyzes the situation, and it looks like the Empress wants something from her. But she knows that she has to be alone to satisfy the Empress. Everything will be solved if she has no one. Hence, the Duke must be harsh on her. Now, it is clear to him why she has distanced herself even from Charles, and the Grand Duke does not approve of this. To the Duke, it is best to follow the Empress's scheme. They must be betrothed. His plan is absurd. Why would he be tied up with her? It will not benefit him, and why to her? Someone he probably, she assumes, hates. The Duke clears out that in no way he harbors hate for her. And he stands with his word. If she agrees, they can be engaged. This decision is not out of a rush, as he also gives her time to think. What could be the Duchess's answer? Alone in the library, Charlize is once again in deep thought as she tries to study. Well, she almost misunderstood the Duke, and no, she won't be engaged to him. Hence, she must do some studies to avoid further situations alike. What is she studying? Human relationships. Why? Well, she does not have anyone to rely on. No good friends, no anyone to interact with. Poor her. Her father enters the room, looking at her fondly, thinking that his daughter is such a workaholic. But as he reads the book she's studying, shock is an understatement. What does being an only friend of someone mean? It is nothing intimate and obsessive, right? Well, his only hope is for his daughter to befriend Countess, but no, she wants to be closer with the Grand Duke. This revelation forced the energy out of him. On the other hand, Charlize is devoted to her studies, even trying what she has learned from her very own father. Which appears to be effective, or was he just gullible? The silent night at the Alardin Palace is enveloped by small hiccups and sobs of the prince. The little one has a fever, but there's no way it is a curse as he is protected by an artifact that defends him from black magic. Calyx is surely worried about his nephew, but his mind wanders with the Duchess. She would rush herself to take care of the child, giving up her stubbornness. Oh, how endearing the sight could be! Charlize, on the other hand, is on a quest, setting foot against the harsh cold wind as they try to find someone in the middle of the snowy wilderness. Finally, a body! A body of a failed knight, Noah. How come his life is measured by how he can serve his master? Now that the Empress sees no use of him, she disposes him like trash. She helps him tend his wounds temporarily. Her actions are in no way rational to the fallen knight. How can she save an enemy's inferior? Specifically, the man who has spread rumors about her. But to her, the past must be left behind. He just needs to change himself to be better. The next day, the wounded knight faces the Duchess with his confidence and self-esteem lowered. He was discarded because of incompetence. Why would she pick up a useless and broken item? All his words are nothing, she has decided. She has chosen him already. Her words are like a soft care of comfort, causing him to fall on his knees and shower her with his gratitude. He makes sure of his usefulness as he immediately reports the last information he has. A news that is like a doom to the Duchess. The little prince has fallen ill. The illness of the little one has been talk among the elites. Symptoms of a fever among the royals are no joke. Historically, it is caused by a divine power before making a contract with the divine beast. But their talk is nowhere near the tone of concern, but rather of scheming greed, because surely anyone who can help the child will be paid handsomely. Contrary to the Grand Duke's theory of Charlize breaking her own rule, keeping a distance from Charles, she's actually very adamant about staying away from them. She just fervently prays for his healing from a distance. Just as the thoughts are running in her mind, she also finds herself running in a field. Why so? Well, her body is not in its best shape, and her health has gradually declined, so she needs to work on it. Accompanying her is Noah, who seems to be observing her intently, even thinking of how she has not yet placed her trust in him. It's the other way around for the Duchess and her unchanging face, which he uses as the grounds of his claim is just because of her clouded mind. In fact, she wants him to rely on her too, if ever he gets mistreated by other knights. On the other day, the Duchess makes her way to the temple, which instantly becomes the talk of the people there. In her hand is a stone. The beast met with Charles, stole his divine power, and turned to stone before coming back to her. Now she needs to restore its divine power. It is said that a way to increase divine power is through faith. She just needs to pray and find the power of the divine beast lurking behind the statue. But with the amount of people there and the attention she's getting, she cannot get started. She has to delay it and come back later instead. But just as she is taking a step backwards, a voice makes her halt. The Grand Duke is standing before her. They do a little greeting, but as the Duchess stares at him, she sees that Calyx is able to find one relic for Charles's illness, and it is in exchange for finding Count de Caen's nephew. The little one is supposed to suffer longer before finding the relic. Why is time running faster now? Originally, the symptoms of the little boy appear at the beginning of the hunting competition, and only after the Grand Duke found the relic was the boy hailed as a royalty. How did he find the relic? Her vision snaps as the man calls for her attention. The man notices that her stares are not normal. It seems like she's reading him. The Duke is surely observant to notice her actions, hence she needs to right herself before anything escalates. Honestly, he is staring at her so intently that I think my heart is melting. But before she can walk away, the man offers to walk her to her carriage, as he also needs to speak with her. As they arrive in her carriage, the Duke confronts her about why she is distancing herself from the child. Originally, she just used the child to get close with the Duke, but now she needs to distance herself because she's an outsider. She should not be interfering in their lives. But the Duke is able to pull her heartstrings, longing for the child suddenly. So instead of going home, she finds herself in the child's room, staring at the sickly boy who was calling for her in his sleep, also longing for her presence. Abandonment is surely laced with the false hope of them picking you up once more. This is exactly how the former Charlize felt before entering the assassination guild that taught her brutality she could never fathom. Killing is not within her principles. Hence, she was considered useless, but someone came and took her in. Someone she has considered her hero. Someone who showed her a glimmer of kindness that was later crushed by his deception and betrayal. He left her dying. He used her. These memories are forever etched in her. A trauma plaguing her, not wanting to trust anyone anymore. But the warmth of this little child radiates to her heart, undoubtedly letting him into her life. Charles slowly opens his eyes, and behold, the one he has been missing is in front of him. He immediately clings to her, even crying out of relief. The child falls asleep once again, but now in her arms, and upon his waking, he pours her worries, to which she responds gently, assuring him that he did nothing wrong. The boy is surely happy having the Duchess as a friend. Her moment with the boy boosted her confidence in making friends. How light and easy it is. So she tries it with others, and boy, it is not what she expected. Tea time with the other ladies is too much for her. She cannot know how to join their conversation, or she just doesn't know how to. As she starts conversing with them, she asks about her reputation, which is unlikely, but a little gossip about her would not hurt, right? Nothing really up but the counterfeiter incident. Gossip over tea time is surely handy at times, and a mini-bomb sometimes. Just as she learns that Marquise Lonatu's condition has worsened. Now what could happen? Libet is in danger. So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!